think about questions that you have. We'll definitely open it up to the floor at the end. And I'll hand it over to you, Laura, to get the ball going.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Is the mic working? You all hear? Okay. Well, first off, I'm very impressed you all showed up. I am not a morning person, so the fact that you got up to actually hear about this work actually really deeply touches me, because I know if it was the reverse, I would be struggling to have gotten here on time. So thank you for honoring me by attending. And I do want to talk about my work with SurvJustice, but before we get into the organization and its mission, you really have to understand what is happening with the issue of campus sexual violence. I wish there was an elegant way to back into such a tough topic, but it really is an unfortunate reality, and it is tough to talk about. So we're going to hop right into it, but I promise by the end you will feel hopeful and that there is a solution to this problem. So here's some information about sexual violence. We almost always start thinking about violence by men against women. But there's been better research recently. This is from a 2016 Campus Climate Survey. We're learning that campuses have different rates of sexual violence and reflects their safety policies and procedures, but on average, we're actually seeing transgender and gender nonconforming students targeted most often, not just as undergraduate students when most sexual violence happens, but actually into their graduate careers. This is something they're always at risk throughout their access to education for. And of course, women have most often been studied as victims. 1 in 4 to 1 in 5 was estimated back in 2000. We're seeing the same results. This isn't every year, but this is the percentage of individuals affected by the time they graduate. And we know with female students, they're most often targeted first semester of their freshman year or first semester of their sophomore year. That welcome back to school week, where you're going out with your friends and you're excited, you either just moved into a dorm or maybe just moved into an apartment on your own, and you're out and you're celebrating, and unfortunately that's when you're at greatest risk. Men are also victims too. We often forget to talk about that. It is a lower reality and percentage, but it is just as devastating. And if anything, there is stronger silence around that issue. And so at SurvJustice, we make sure we assist survivors regardless of their sex, gender identity, or sexual orientation. We really understand that this is a community issue. We all have a part to play, but we all in some ways are affected by it. know that survivors somehow are aware that the odds are not in their favor. Whether it's messages from media, what they grew up hearing, somehow they know this really isn't going to probably work if you come forward. So if only the campus system was better. The criminal system is beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a very high standard. Campus systems are preponderance of the evidence, more likely than not. But research actually showed back when I started speaking out about this topic, again, only 6% ever resulted in a finding of responsibility. And even if there was a finding of responsibility, the sanction that came along with it was meaningless. Often a summer suspension, but the student wasn't even enrolled in summer courses. So it was for appearances. It was to put something on paper that had no impact in reality. And of course, the student returned in the fall to be alongside the person he harmed in class. And I wish I could tell you the exact rate of justice within the civil system, but there's no way to know that. Not only do we have over 50 jurisdictions, but a lot of civil cases can be settled on demand letter. A lot of times attorneys won't even take the case. Maybe it's time barred, maybe it's not financially viable, even if it's overwritten claim. So we just don't know how effective it is. But this is the reality survivors face, and the choices they have to make are impacted by this. Now I mentioned that I try to access each of those systems. I always talk about my personal experience because I think it's important to move beyond statistics and realize these are actual lives that are affected. You all may already know a survivor, but if you don't, you now know me. This is something that impacted my life when I was a freshman. That high percentage of freshmen being victimized is a reality. Two men that I thought I knew and could trust because they were on a crew team with me offered to walk me to a party, and they chose instead to walk me off campus and work together to assault me. And afterwards I stayed silent. Somehow I knew that nothing good was going to happen. And the silence ate me up inside. I couldn't move forward. I was on the team with them. I had to see them. And it really impacted my health. And so I was sitting in a class one day and I learned about Title IX, which is a federal civil right that prevents sex discrimination in higher ed. It was passed back in 1972 to make sure women could even get into higher education, but it's been expanded upon in court cases to protect against sexual harassment, sexual violence, because that also impedes often women's access to education. So when I found out about this right, I actually reported immediately. The first moment I knew that a campus could do something for me, I spoke up. Unfortunately, I didn't find out for 2 years, so it was already a late report. And then I struggled through each system. I reported to the police, I reported to the campus, I got a civil attorney, and every single door of justice closed in my face. In the criminal system, I was told that Wisconsin was the only state in the entire country that didn't consider alcohol an intoxicant. There was no such thing as being too drunk to consent. You had to be completely unconscious the entire time, but otherwise it wasn't a crime under a statute. On campus, I was told, well, you're both drinking, so consent was moot. We can't figure it out. Didn't matter that there was two of them and one of me, and that I was the coxswain and they were rowers. It didn't matter. And with the civil, which I talk about the least, I had an attorney that took my money, didn't communicate with me, and then dropped me as a client, taking half that money for his own, and not telling me that the statute of limitations passed so that I could never sue. And another attorney had to tell me that a month later, and I remember that moment vividly, when I realized there was no option left. And because of this experience of sexual violence, because of this struggle, instead of shutting down, I got mad, and I decided to speak up. And that's really where media and press comes in. I'm really excited to be interviewed later, because the media has given voice to survivors who have faced injustice, a system that does not work and has not been made to work for decades and decades. And as a result, my story was used to improve Title IX. The 2011 Dear Colleague letter came out back when I was 7 years a survivor. The very day that it happened to me, the anniversary, this guidance was released, and it said that institutions across the country had an obligation to investigate sexual assault. They had to make determinations. They couldn't defer to the police. They couldn't pass the buck. They had to help, and they had to do it promptly and equitably. And oh yes, that included a definition of sexual violence that involved consent, because consent is never moot. law school, I continued on with my passion, and I founded SurvJustice in order to make sure that no survivor ever went through what I went through alone. And I believe that justice is the right focus. I believe that giving rights and voice and recognition through formal systems is an important part of addressing sexual violence. There's actually a demand for justice. Not only do we see that on campuses with protests, focused efforts to change policy, but we see brave survivors who are showing their names, their faces, whose trials are open for the public. And we're actually seeing it with the results. We're seeing increased reporting. Most underreported crime has actually increased in reports on campus, 89% from 2009 to 2013, during a lot of the activism that's been happening. We've had survivors, either on their own, working in groups, or finding lawyers like those at SurvJustice, file over 300 complaints against institutions of higher education for mishandling sexual assault specifically. And within that, K through 12 schools also have this issue. We often don't talk about it as much, but secondary schools, middle schools, even elementary schools, we've seen at SurvJustice where this issue is not being properly handled. And almost 100 school districts are under investigation. As of December 2nd, Clark County School District in Nevada, the largest in the entire country, is under investigation because some brave mother reached out about her kindergarten daughter, and we filed a complaint with the U.S. Department of Education. So there is a demand. People are not willing to stay silent. They're not willing to move on. They're not willing only to accept healing and counseling and support. They're saying this system is meant to work. It needs to work for me. And that's why SurvJustice, first and foremost, is a legal organization. We focus on holding not just perpetrators, but enablers, often institutions of education, accountable, not just in campus systems, which is unique to SurvJustice. We're the only organization that brings attorneys in campus hearings to survivors, but also in criminal and civil systems as well. But we're also still working on policy and procedure. I'm sure there'll be questions later about the new administration to come and how that may change that. But rest assured, the progress we made in the Obama administration will stand the test of time. The Dear Colleague letter could be retracted, but we actually worked to put that in a federal statute under the Violence Against Women Act. It's there. We can go into a court, we can enforce it, and we did that intentionally, knowing that a day could come where things could be moved back. So policy advocacy is at the forefront. And of course, institutional trainings. We do think schools want to do better and can do better. We want to empower them with how to do that. How do they balance the rights of victims with the rights of the accused that we so often talk about and focus about, while also, of course, making sure the institution isn't liable. So we've had a lot of impact. We're only a 2.5-year organization, but we've already trained over 3,000 campus community members. That's law enforcement, students, faculty, a lot of activist groups often bring us to campus. And we're actually focusing more on training attorneys and advocates. We don't think there are enough out there enforcing amazing rights that we have worked to get into legislation and policy. And to date, we've had over 500 survivors request assistance from all 50 states and now 8 countries, because we get study abroad students or people who are traveling with Peace Corps who are facing these issues and not knowing any other place to turn but hearing about SurvJustice. This demand has been without any marketing or advertising. This is earned media, this is word of mouth, and it's the fact that we're the only organization really helping students in particular with this issue. And we've also been recognized by national media. You can see some of the logos there. There's an episode on HBO Vice, episode 33, about campus cover-up. You can actually see one of the first cases I ever did as an advocate featured there with a brave survivor who spoke out. And we, of course, are still impacting state and federal laws as well as policy. So SurvJustice really is built on the idea that there's a need to increase the prospect of justice. I started with telling you that campus systems are 6% effective, the same as criminal. SurvJustice has gotten 75% success rates. 75. All we did was change the law, no minor fees, and provided an attorney who knew that law with a survivor in a campus hearing. And people ask me all the time, isn't it he said, she said, aren't these really great question. So one of our core values is really to allow survivors to define what justice means to them. We recognize it could be a criminal conviction, it could be damages through a civil court, it could be a finding of responsibility in campus hearing, but it could also just be an acknowledgement. Oftentimes when no system is open to the survivor or they don't want to access the system, we sometimes go to the media and we give them acknowledgement, or we change a policy or a law because of what happened to them, and that is their justice. So we really leave it open. We find a variety of things that can make that survivor feel that they've gone through it for a reason and come out whole again.
I know we've seen some victim impact statements go viral over the last year. Can you talk a little bit about their role in justice for survivors and having that voice?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of you may have read Emily Doe's statement from the Stanford rape case. A lot of people saw that as an injustice to get only 6 months for a very heinous and shocking crime. And, you know, victims' rights, like being able to even give an impact statement, are relatively new. Victims most often were just victims, not survivors. They were put as witnesses or evidence, but they weren't parties. This wasn't for them. They weren't supposed to have a voice other than to provide evidence. And so these victim impact statements, this right to have a voice, to be a person, to assert your feelings, your opinions, and have that impact the course of justice, really is an advancement. And I think it's spoken volumes not just in that case, but to so many others who were listening and heard that. And for some, it was their first moment of realizing, oh wow, the criminal justice system doesn't work. And most of us advocates were like, yes, we knew that. Thank you for joining our side in that concern. So I think it was a very powerful moment. I know she won, was it Glamour Woman of the Year? So really making an impact. And it also shows that you can choose any way to share your voice and make a difference. You can be anonymous, you can write a statement. There's so many different ways to really speak out and create justice in the space.
Thank you. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the incoming Trump administration and how you, the challenges that you expect it might pose, both within policy making and also just like role modeling behavior about respectful treatment of people.
You had to throw in that last part, didn't you? So we are a nonpartisan organization. So as far as our policy, we're ready to sit down with whoever is willing to care about survivors and take this issue seriously. That being said, we of course are seeing appointments. The U.S. Department of Education Secretary, for example, has no background in higher education at all. So we're not really even sure in some situations what we can expect. So we're being thoughtful. We are sitting back trying to see what the space will look like and really determining how to move forward. We do and have spoken out in the past about the Trump tape and comments. Anytime we see a person of any kind of public figure make comments that degrade or encourage violence or harassment, we always speak out on, even if there is a political backlash to it, because we feel it's absolutely necessary. And I know a lot of people are really gearing up at this time to fight the good fight that is to come. So at least on our issue, we're ready to find alliances. There are a lot of people on both sides of the aisle that care about this issue. Actually, victims' rights historically is a Republican issue, and women's rights has been a Democratic issue, and the blend between that is really what we're aiming for. So we're going to do our best to create unity on this issue, to really have people push past politics and look at human beings and the way that their lives are impacted. But we are ready. We know that unfortunately there are going to be a lot of due process advocates, often grave denialists, who do have the ear of the new administration, and they will try to roll back some of what we've worked on. So we have plans. We are prepared. Like I said, we snuck some of it into federal statute a while ago, and we do plan on the courts being an open opportunity for us to advance some rights if the political scene resist, to say no, to push back, and only through the resistance did it become a crime. It wasn't the act of being touched, it was the act of rejecting the touch that made it a crime. But that's why affirmative consent is so important. That's actually what's important about the campus movement to the overall movement against gender violence. We're really redefining it and saying, you know what, enough of that. We're not putting the burden on people who are being harmed to speak up, to fight back. We're actually going to put the burden where it belongs on the person who wants to initiate this. You have to have a yes, otherwise it's just a no, and that's inherent in silence. You cannot force anyone to endure what is your desire. And so when Trump talked about grabbing without any thought of consent, I think he even said before they're able to respond, everyone said it's sexual assault. And I think that showed the national dialogue has accepted affirmative consent. We should get lawyers to accept it and the criminal justice system to accept it. But you know, we start at the campus level, and it's through the cultural level. We have to keep pushing. It does need to become the law criminally so that we can get more justice for survivors.
So in your presentation, you talked a little bit about holding perpetrators and enablers accountable. How do we do that?
It's a great question. There are a variety of ways to do it. So we've seen a lot of amazing activism, students taking to the quad with the signs and really getting out there. I wish I could say I was one of those students back in the day. I was not. But I really admire the activism we've seen, mobilizing and going after policy strategically, actually sitting down, getting a plan together. I think one of the most amazing things I was involved in was with Know Your Nine. They organized an EdAct Now protest. They got over 120,000 signatures to protest the lax enforcement by the say it was a secret who they were, but it's never a secret. You can go on campus and point out which fraternity has a problem. Everyone knows which sports team to avoid, which house not to go into, and everyone knows. So it's not really a secret, and actually schools under Title IX have an obligation to monitor campus and find like hot pockets of discrimination, harassment, ongoing issues. So oftentimes schools actually already know. If you've seen the hunting ground, you can even see some of the former administrators talk about that student they saw 3 or 4 times. And as sad as think we can work to offset that disparity.
Okay. Hi, thank you for your presentation. My name is Liz. I just wanted to ask about international law and just know, first of all, like what's been the most challenging international case that you've maybe dealt with, and what, if anything, have you learned from the policies of other governments about ways to improve here?
So most of the study abroad cases, we actually try to establish jurisdiction from the United States, and we actually don't take those where we can't. So we're not practicing international law. We try to find people who are a little more qualified for that, because it is a whole different landscape. And while I studied at a law school, not something I actively practice. So there's unique ways to actually establish jurisdiction for study abroad programs if the institution owns the property, clear active applies. So we know we have one federal law. Title IX is a little more tricky. It says no person shall be discriminated on the basis of sex within the United States. And so we've had some cases where there's saying, well, they were still in study abroad. If the survivor comes back, then the process starts, and it's unfair. Then it's discrimination within the United States. So we really try to get that jurisdiction to give us the legal tools. And there are cases sometimes where it's not. We actually recently had an inquiry where everything about it is just international law, and unfortunately can't assert jurisdiction. We are looking to do legislation in the future if there is interest in movement. We have yet to see, because it would be federal for study abroad versus state. But we would like to, over time, get better protections for study abroad students. I mean, no one thinks studying abroad is going to be dangerous, because there's no negative information of, if you send your child abroad, there's a high risk they'll be mugged or murdered. Like, that's not in the pamphlet coming from the study abroad program. It's all the amazing experiences, but there really is a risk, and schools really know about it, and also aren't even preparing their own staff that they're sending abroad trips for that risk. So give us some time. We're going to try to work on that law, but until then, we're going to try to be as creative as possible. If that means telling the survivor it's in your best interest to leave the study abroad program, to be in the United States to start that process, we'll give them that advice, and it's their choice.
Okay.
Laura, thanks so much. Really fantastic presentation. Can you talk a little bit about, give us one or two examples of campuses that have sort of changed their norms and practices, and sort of what were the factors that allowed them to get better at sort of supporting victims?
Absolutely, it's a great question, and I'm going to put a caveat. I may mention some examples. I know they're not perfect. I think every school that I've been like, they got good at this, there's been a different issue. So it's a little bit of a pop-up game. But I do give props to Amherst for when, I can't believe I'm blanking on it, but there was a young woman who wrote an amazing piece about having reported and actually being forced into hospitalization and being really mistreated. And when that came out, the school actually had listening sessions, had students come together, be able to talk about it, hired a professional. Some people think very strongly of the professional. I think she's above board, but some people have criticisms. And they had a day of silence for reflection on it, and they really try to change and commit action. Looking at their policies yesterday for a whole different reason, and the list of awareness and prevention training is pages and pages and pages, every date, every activity. So they've made a commitment to have a conversation around this issue that I think is really laudable. Some other examples, oftentimes are schools, unfortunately, that have already gone through Title IX complaints and come out for the better. University of Maryland, I'll say I'm a graduate of their law school, and I did get the alumni award, so I'm a little biased at this point. But in all seriousness, they really do have a commitment to mandatory freshman orientation training, talking about these issues, because freshmen, at least women, are the most at risk. So they're forcing a conversation, and I believe that was passed by the students. So it's something they demanded, they asked. So they're really giving a voice to students and giving a space for survivors to